facing. Finally, we cannot do this without strong support from the state of North Carolina. Our district attorney's office is underfunded and understaffed. We need more prosecutors, more major court sessions, more resource for information technology to process the rising caseloads. Without that support, too many criminals slip through the system, eroding public trust and safety. As chairman of the city's Jobs and Economic Development Committee, I also know that public safety is tied directly to our city's ability to recruit and retain major employers. Companies looking for cities where their employees feel safe, working in community environments are secure. Safety concerns undermine our competitive edge if they go unaddressed. At the same time, we must continue to tackle affordability by working through aggressive workforce development programs with all our major employees. By expanding job training, apprenticeship opportunities, and pathways into high-demand careers, we can ensure Charlotteans are prepared for tomorrow's economy while keeping our city livable for working families. Let me be clear. We also must close the revolving door for repeat offenders. Too many of the crimes that disrupt our neighborhoods and transit system are committed by individuals who cycle through the system over and over and over again. This cannot continue. Accountability must be certain, swift, and fair. Our residents deserve nothing less. Charlotte is a growing, vibrant city, and our success depends on residents feeling safe in their daily lives. That requires honesty, transparency, and more importantly, action. By combining stronger, targeted law enforcement with robust community support programs addressing mental health and substance abuse, demanding the resources we need from the state, investing in workforce development opportunities, and closing the door for repeat offenders, we can restore public confidence and create a city where safety is not an aspiration, but a reality for every neighborhood. I've been serving this community for over 25 years. 10 years as a state senator, 10 years as a council member, a congressional candidate. This is a moment in time for our community. Our community is a great community. I love Charlotte. I love the people. I love our vibe, our attitude. But it's okay to admit that we got some warts as well. And one is making sure that the most basic principle foundation of a community is the ability to feel safe. And I'm committed to that. I'm committed to working with any federal partners that wants to be involved with what we're doing here locally. I'm open to any investigations that the feds may do or the state want to do. I'm certain that we will pass the test and meet the bar. And if there's some things that we aren't doing that we should do better, I'm committed to doing that as well. I am going to block out all the noise and focus on things I can control. Can't control what's coming out of DC, and I won't. Can't control what's coming out of Raleigh, and I won't. But I can control what the Charlotte City Council does. I can control what my actions are, and that's me showing up, taking accountability, working for community consensus, listening to the residents, and try to solve problems as they occur. That's my obligation. That's my responsibility. I have consistently done that, sometimes very successful, and sometimes we fall down, but we get back up. We have a moment in time that we have to meet, and this city has always done that. We've always met the moment. I think we can do it today as well. Thank you.
Malcolm, in terms of city leaders, you're only the second one to speak in 19 days. Edwin Peacock did it a week later. Mayor Valhouse has gone into hiding. Nothing from Johnny Jennings. Nothing from Spencer Merriweather. Why are you now speaking?
The DA has been speaking for the last 3, 4, 5 years about the ability of getting more resources from the state of North Carolina to hire more DAs, to get better training for our magistrate. You can be a magistrate and don't have a law degree. That's insane, right? So he's been speaking out for years. Some of these problems aren't new, right? I only can speak for Malcolm Graham, and I'm very transparent. I wear my emotions on my shoulders. You guys know what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And I think that it is time for elected officials, present company included, to speak truth to power, to tell people when they're right, to tell them when they're wrong, and to find the moral middle ground. All of Charlotte, from my perspective, the majority of Charlotte is in the middle. They want moderation. They don't want extremes, right? There's a moderate middle that we can find to solve community problems and bring everybody with us. And so why others aren't talking, you have to ask them that question. I continue to provide the leadership for the city. I continue to be open, honest, and accessible. And I continue to want to be a part of making our community better tomorrow than it is today.
Now, it's symbolic that you're standing here, you're delivering these remarks. We haven't seen a lot of people standing here. What will you say to your colleagues, or what have you said to your colleagues about being visible in the place that is obviously one of the central concerns?
Well, I was here yesterday as well, and I parked my car at Johnson C. Smith University. I jumped on the streetcar. I came over here. I walked the facilities. I talked to the users of the system. I inspect the system. This building has outlived its useful existence. It needs to go down, right? We need to do something different and create a better environment. I've talked to riders. They want to see more CMPD officers on the platforms, in the stations, on the buses. They want to make sure that we highlight not crime that's happening here in transit, as unfortunate as it was, right? But they want us to tackle crime throughout the city. I have been and you've been at some of these meetings, council meetings, actively saying that we need to be a lot more assertive, not aggressive, but assertive in identifying hotspots and curing crime. So I think, you know, again, that's a question for them. I only can speak for my action as a member of the council who understands that what we do or what we don't do impacts a major responsibility that I have, which is jobs and economic opportunities, chairing that committee, to ensure that the citizens know that we're listening, that we're watching, that we're feeling and touching the product. And that's what I've done yesterday. That's what I'm doing today. And I will continue to do it. As you know, I do these huddles all the time, so I'm very accessible. This is my largest audience. So hopefully we can talk a little tennis as well. There's other things going on in our community other than this. This is really important, right? For sure. But I think folks just need to get out of the building and manage by walking around.
What effect do you think this is going to have on the transit referendum in November? Are you concerned about it? And
well, you know, the election was yesterday, and in case you guys noticed, I won, again, with no opposition. And so now the campaign for the general election starts today. And a major item on the general election is probably the race in District 6, as well as the transit referendum. I don't want to mix what happened to this young lady with politics, right? I think we need to solve the public safety issue with transit in the city as a whole, and then the election will have, the voters will have their say about how we move forward with transit. And I think they're two separate issues. Obviously they combine at some point, but I think the election needs to stand on its own merit. I'm focusing on ensuring that people in this city feel safe.
So are you against it or not?
I'm a yes, but, right? I would love to see a non-displacement initiative. There are a lot of businesses along West Boulevard or Central Avenue that will be closed because of the construction of, hypothetically, the streetcar. They have to pay their lease, their rent, their mortgages on their businesses. Their employees won't be able to work during construction. So I think we need to be sensitive to that for sure. I think we need to make sure that the authority has representation of all the members of our community who want to serve. Who have if you ride a bus every day, or you ride a train every day, I think you can provide value to the authority by your lived experience. They should be allowed, and I will support appointing everyday riders to the authority if it comes to that. And lastly, we need to make sure that everyone prospers through small business development to help build a line, not only construction-related services, but professional services as well.
But you mentioned but. What's the but?
I just mentioned the 3 buts, but we have to do those 3 things.
Councilman, you come up with a lot of ideas, policing, more security, some drug treatment. Who's going to put the bill for this? The taxpayers going to get stuff being
A lot of those things are already being done, right? We just need to tell the community in very clear terms what. And as it relates to adding more, I believe, and as I walked around yesterday and today, that we need CMPD officers leading the charge for public safety on our transit system, and private security should be a secondary force for that, right? That's something that we're going to have to figure out how we can pay for. That's something I will be advocating for with my colleagues. One council member can't do anything by themselves, and so I will be reaching out to the mayor, the city manager, and my colleagues about what we can do to provide a rapid response to some of the things that are occurring throughout the city, because many of the initiatives that I just mentioned we're currently doing already. We just need to change the gas in it from regular to premium and spotlight it so that the community will know. It'll be a combination of both. Right? Because some, like getting additional police officers to have a task force that's specifically related to transit is a budgetary item that's not in CMPD's budget or our budget. I'm willing to fund that. We have a meeting on the 22nd, I think, where we talk about a memorandum of understanding with the private security firm. I'm going to read that very, very clearly because I believe CMPD should be in the driver's seat of any public safety initiative related to transit, so that we want to have this dual thing about who's on first, who's on second, or whose jurisdiction it is.
Are we for or against taxpayers paying the bill for something ridiculous? A lot of people are talking about that they're worried that this is a different pocket. Security is a great thing, but people are also worried about finances and economy.
We have a budget debate every year, and I'm pretty sure that will be a part of the budget debate, not only as it relates to public safety, but relates to how we do a wide variety of city initiatives. That question is to be answered.
Malcolm, the transportation secretary basically said, why would we give billions of dollars to Charlotte or any city for expansion when they can't protect what they have? How would you protect the other, going all the way up to Davidson, Cornelius, if you can't protect what you have?
Well, again, I'm going to work with our federal partners, whether it's USDOT, whether it's the state auditor's office, to listen and learn in reference to what their perspectives are. They may have some ideas that we don't. I don't know. But hopefully we will continue to provide the oversight necessary for public safety on all our lines. Again, no one understands the sudden loss of life of a loved one, and an unexpected loss of life. I talked to my sister on a Monday, and that Wednesday she was gunned down in a church. Right, so my heart goes out to the victim's family, her friends, her loved ones, and we should address this issue forthright. But I think my goal is to have a broader perspective about our city. Our city is a great city. Crime, no one cares about the crime data right now, because if you don't feel safe, you're not safe, right? And so how can we work collectively with all our partners, our healthcare institutions on mental health, our county partners with the health department, our nonprofit organizations, our grassroots organizations on youth, right? How collectively can we all work together to impact the perception of crime in our community, but also the reality? Because 2 days ago, a young man, 2 individuals were killed in Charlotte, and nobody mentioned anything about it. So it's all of us. And so I'll let the federal government and the state government do what they have to do. I can't control that. I'm going to focus on things that I can control locally on behalf of the citizens of Charlotte.
I guess as a city leader, can you explain, and it's the big question, why isn't there people checking tickets? Why isn't there security on the light rails? It's been that way for years with the honor system. Why has it been that way?
Well, the system was designed that way from the get-go, right? It's an open, fair system, right? And you were at the meeting, right? You heard the explanation. It doesn't change. And so I think, again, I'm not going to play Monday quarterback and think why those decisions were made 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. I can control how we move forward, right? And that's what I will continue to do.
We've seen this receive national attention, and we've also noticed how Trump's spoken about this, and he's also talked about bringing National Guard to places like Los Angeles to tackle safety concerns. Do you think we're at a point where the National Guard needs to be brought to Charlotte to tackle safety concerns?
Again, I'm going to focus on things that I can control. I can't control what happens and what's coming out of D.C. I can't control what's coming out of Raleigh. I can control, as one council member, the actions that we can take in reference to ensuring that our neighborhoods are safe, that our corridors are safe, that our businesses are safe, that we create a safe environment for tourism and travel in our community, and then I'll let the other guys do what they got to do. I'm just not going to go there.
And what can you as local leaders do to address concerns or support people that might be dealing with mental health challenges, but also repeat offenders? How do you balance that and overcome those challenges?
Well, we continue to work with our partners. Again, public safety is a team sport, you know. It's the city, it's the county, it's the state, it's our nonprofit organizations. Again, this type of collaboration is not new. We've been doing this before, and we will continue to do it. We just need to, again, be a lot more visible in what we're doing and why we're doing. Like, for example, I serve on an uptown safety task force. I've been serving on that task force for months. I'm working on an initiative with Friendship CDC to tackle crime along Catherine Simmons. I've been working on it for months. I've been supporting the alternative violence program, walking the street with some of those guys that patrol some of our corridors of opportunity. So a lot of work is already being done, right? And so I think we need to meet the moment, right? Someone was tragically killed, but then I think we need to be we need to block out the noise and focus on the work. And the work for me is local. The work for me is things that I can control within my sphere of influence, and I will continue to do that.
Have you or anyone else in City Council had any communication with the victim or the perpetrator?
I have not. I can't speak for others.
Councilmember, you mentioned a lot of these things are collaboration between the city, state, transit. Well, where does the buck stop? Where does the buck stop?
Who's ultimately responsible?
When we're talking about making a successful transit system,
All of us. Because even our citizens, if you see something, say something, right? So this is a responsibility on us as citizens. Obviously, the city, the county, we all are in this together. Ultimately, as of right now, the system is under the direction of the city of Charlotte.
Councilman, do you have a specific policy or ordinance that you're ready to put in front of council to vote on that would achieve what you're talking about?
I'm still quietly working, not quietly now, right, with the city attorney's office about some initiatives that I'm very concerned about along the Beatty-Fort Road corridor in terms of absentee landlords, watering, open-air drug sales, etc. Business owners that allow drug use on their property, and so I'm working with the city attorney's office. I think we ought to, within the next week or two, talk about how do we, moving forward, patrol the CAT system. Again, I want CMPD officers doing that type of work, leading the way. And there's some other things I want to talk with my colleagues about. One council member can't do anything by themselves, right? And so I want to collaborate with others to see if we can have a really a proactive response.
Malcolm, you're talking a lot about local response and focusing on that. I'm wondering whether you see any role for the business community in this. I mean, it's inherently a government issue, security, but is there any aspect of government?
Yeah. I think we've already seen the model, right? The model is when we were trying to go after the transit tax. Everyone leaned in, the city, the county, the business community. We all need to lean in, going to Raleigh, asking for additional support for the DA's office, right? If you want to stop repeat offenders, they need the resources to process the cases. I've been a state senator for 10 years, and we've been asking for years and years and years for additional resources so that we can meet the moment here locally. So I think the corporate community definitely needs to work with us there. Our healthcare institutions, Novant and Atrium, on the healthcare side of mental illness and substance abuse. So I think, again, a team approach is necessary, but what people don't want is more meetings. They don't want any more meetings. We have to meet and then measure what we decide that we're going to do and then put it in action. All right. So if I could pivot right quickly, since I got all this attention. There's a tennis tournament this weekend. It's called the Charlotte Amateur Tennis Championship. I host it every year. We got over 350 players playing to support the Cynthia Graham Purse Foundation. As you know, we've been trying to bring big-time tennis to Charlotte. The Invitational, the Charlotte Invitational, again, is this year in December with Venus Williams and Madison Keys and T. Eiffel and Taylor Fritz. And so we continue to work on tennis in this community. And if you're free and available, I would love for you guys to come out and see what we're doing with the tournament. We're having a workshop clinic for about 70 kids from the Greater Enrichment Program, giving them tennis lessons. And that's part of this public safety thing too. We got to keep our kids occupied and focused and activities so they won't have idle minds. And so I had a whole lot to do, but I think you guys probably got what you wanted. Any additional questions?
Going back to what you were saying earlier about safety, are there any sort of short-term or what can people expect to see change within the next few coming weeks or coming months? That's like short-term solutions.
I think you've already seen it already, right? There's a more intentional police presence here at the stations, on the platforms, as well as on the buses and trains. An escalation within the next 2 weeks that we'll have a conversation at council about a memorandum of understanding between CMPD and private policing. I think you'll see that. And I think you'll see, again, the Public Safety Committee continue to do the work that they've already started in terms of youth prevention and crime. So again, my goal is to recognize what happened, but also recognize that we have to make sure that the entire city itself is safe and secure.
Is there any concern about over-policing in that case?
No. I think we need less guns, more cops, and more resources for mental illness and the DA's office.
Malcolm, could any of the money, if the tax passes, could any of that money be used for transit-related security?
I don't know specifically. I would say yes, though, right? I mean, if it's part of establishing a new system is protecting the system. So I would think that they should, but you might want to fact check that. I'm not sure.
Is that something you would want?
Yeah, of course. They got billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. You're not going to the event.
I may show up. Yeah, where's someone there?
It's at Parkwood.
Parkwood,
It's right past 36th Street, on the light rail station.
Parkwood
At
Avenue.
327 Parkwood Avenue.